Namaste and welcome to a special podcast from Bharat Yoga Vidya Kendra. As we celebrate International Day of Yoga, we're diving into this year's theme, One Earth, One Family, and how yoga unites us in body, mind, and spirit. With me today are three incredible teachers, Chitra, Shubha, and Vijayendra. Let's get started. Could each one of you share a brief 1 minute intro, your journey into yoga, and what it personally means to you? Over to you, Chitra ma'am.
Namaste, everyone, and wishing you a very happy International Day of Yoga. Well, yoga has been part of my life for the last 15 years, although I started it way young when I was a teenager. But it stayed on with me on and off, but has become a more serious practice the last 15 years, as I mentioned. Uh, Yoga is that tool that has supported me in my journey uh, as a parent, as a mother of two. And today, as I take classes, I see how transformative yoga can be when anybody of any age can take it up. Yoga is also that tool that is like a go-to place whenever we are, way down in our lives. It is a place to find your energy, find your balance, and also find that inner calm in whatever you do. So that's been my journey, like in short. Deepali.
Beautifully explained, Chitra ma'am. Over to you, Shubha ma'am.
Namaste, everyone. I'm Shubha here. And journey of yoga, like if I look back and I can understand that yoga has always been a part of my life. The upbringing was such where we were exposed to many aspects of yoga, like bhakti, as bhajans and everything. It was an everyday aspect. Even the yamas and niyamas were actually taught to us, but not under the name of yama and niyama. So only now I understand it after having forayed into this, uh, journey of yoga by doing the traditional, learning as per attaining a degree in the or certification of yoga practice. That's what it was. I am a Ayurvedic physician, and to me, bringing about relief or helping someone else was and will always be my prime uh, objective in life. And therefore, this tool of yoga or the science of yoga is very came in very complementary and handy to me when I started this journey on Ayurveda and yoga. I've done my yoga therapy from SPASA and I've been using that, and also practicing with BYK has been a wonderful journey for me. And personally, yoga is to connect within myself.
So beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shubha ma'am. Over to you, Vijayendra.
Namaste, everyone. So, I would like to start telling that I read this quote or a brief note telling that you don't choose yoga, yoga chooses you. So, I think that was very much true in my situation. So, when I was having some health issues, so I started doing yoga for myself. And then with the benefit, it says like when you're connected and then when you're on the path of yoga, it starts flowing. So that started happening. So naturally, I started instructing or facilitating children, and then it slowly made me to do more and more courses. Like as Shubha was mentioning, even I am a product of SVASA. So I did my MSc in SVASA, and then that application of yoga as a therapy started cropping up, and then I started meeting more and more people where they have some physical and health mental issues, so where I started helping them out, and then that has become part of my life now. So wherever I see, so the first aspect or first thing where I talk to people is more like how are they physically and mentally, are they healthy? So that is become part of my life. So that's that's about mine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijayendra. Since, of course, we all know we're here for yoga, right? And for the International Day of Yoga, why not start by discussing what yoga is, right? So this question goes to you, Chitra ma'am. How do you describe yoga to a beginner? And what does it truly mean beyond asanas, just asana practice?
Well, when we say how do we describe yoga, you know, today, if I have to describe yoga, because people look at yoga as something that's very slow and something that's very boring, meant only for the old people, not for Gen Z, Gen Alpha, or whatever you want to call. However, I think it's very important how we present yoga to different people, because yoga is a scientific tool, in fact, for attaining self-realization. And when we directly start offering philosophy, people generally switch off because they're looking for their solutions to their problems. And that is how we approach yoga practice with based on the participant. So we um so when we say a beginner, we definitely start with asana practice, because we start with the gross and then move to the sucking. So we start working with the body, with the physical body, and the postures, because there's so much that one can learn when one is just put to test on that mat, right? So it's just not the physical flexibility that's put to challenge, but at various levels, the person can get challenged when they are working on their asanas. So we definitely begin with asanas, and then from there on, the transition happens gradually as the person into the other aspect.
Of course, of course. Yeah. Very well said and explained, Chitra ma'am. I think you're so right. Even, for a lot of people, everything begins on the mat. And I think even without knowing, that transition happens so naturally, even without one realizing it. It is a process. I think you need to be there to experience it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chitra ma'am. Vijayendra, like we all know that you really, kids yoga is your strong aspect, right? So from kids to advanced practitioners, what makes yoga universally relevant across all life stages? Be it kids or be it the advanced practitioners. So beginning basically from when you're a child going up to, the end of your life. Yoga is a practice for life, right? So how do you explain this?
Yeah, this is a beautiful question. It's like, as Chitra was rightly mentioning, we start from asanas, the physical. So in our life, when we see our ancestors has, or the rishis or the munis put it across very beautifully, the different stages of life: balyavastha, praudavastha, grihastha and then sannyasashrama, and then vanaprastha. So here, as a child or as a young kid, you start with asana practices. So you don't really have to sit and do meditation as a child. So you first try to use the energy to build up that muscles, build up that flexibility, and then you ground yourself. And then as a teen, the praudavastha or the the yavanavastha, you start realizing the energy and you start using it appropriately. You start handling the life appropriately, the anxiety issues, the depression issues, or to take a right decision. So what is good to me? What should I do? So that's how the second stage happens. And then comes to the grihastha. So in grihastha, even though you'll still continue with the asanas, you are started moving inward to handle your family. So there you start using yoga. So how do you handle your wife? How do you manage your children? How do you be good with the society? So as Shubha ma'am was talking about the yamas and niyamas. So there you start implementing them as to what is good for me and what is good for the society. And then slowly move towards the sannyas ashrama. Sannyas ashrama is, I think, nowadays it is being taken in a wrong sense. So I leave everything and run away from the pig. But it is stay with the family and slowly start detaching with the things what you have been attached to. So if you are attached to something, some materialistic thing, some relationship, something very close to you, then you slowly start, for example, the taste. So you love a food very, very much. You are like attached to it. You slowly start detaching from it. So you eat food as a nutrition. And then slowly you move on to the vanaprasthashram. So there, the elders, the golden ages, so they start doing yoga, moving more inward as more of like a Vini yoga. So all this while you have been started building up your body, your mind, your breathing techniques, and then how you handle the society. And now you slowly start detaching from sannyas ashrama and then move to the vanaprastha ashrama like V-yoga. So how do you get attached to one particular, either be a guru or a deity? So we can talk about the different stages of yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, and then attain that raja yoga state. So I think yoga is appropriate all over the life stages, starting from a child of around 6-7 years and go all the way up to they detach from their physical body. So the soul detaches from the physical body and takes a different form. So I think this is how yoga is appropriate for all age groups.
Vijayendra, you've given such a detailed and a beautiful perspective to things, which I think is very rare to find, I think, in today's date, especially in the modern schools of yoga, right? There's one thing that I would like you to explain, if you could maybe, just take 2 minutes to explain. Detachment is a concept not everybody understands. So could you explain to us what is detachment? What do you mean by detachment?
This is what I have learned from my guru. So, Shriyam sir always mentions when you are alive, you have to use two things, two V's rather, Viveka and Vairagya. So, Vairagya is the detachment which is wrongly assumed like, okay, I'll stay away from everything and then I'll not use it. So, that is not the detachment. You stay within and then you don't indulge in it completely. So it doesn't mean detachment. You, as I mentioned earlier, you move away from the Grihastha ashrama. Your responsibility is there. Like you have married, you have children, you have your parents. So who are dependent on you. You don't live everything. You don't, for example, you don't quit your job. So that is again, Shriyam sir beautifully says about pravritti and nivritti dharma. So you don't leave everything and just move away. So how much you as
Taking the middle path.
yes, the middle path. As
The middle
Chetan was telling, how do you move from gross to subtle? So slowly you understand that how you detach. So that is you use the Vairagya. So in order to use the Vairagya appropriately, you use your Viveka. Viveka is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So all the knowledge what you have gained from your gurus or listening to some great souls, how do you use that and convert into a wisdom and then start applying it? So I think
So living in the society, living at home, and yet to be able to follow the principles of yoga is the middle path.
perfect. Yes.
That's what
You put it
we-
across rightly. Correct.
Right, right.
Thank you, Deepa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijayendra. Going back to yoga for kids, in fact, what impact do you think, Vijayendra, have you seen in kids and teens specifically who practice yoga regularly?
Kids, yoga this is where I initially started with. So, as I mentioned, this is where I started facilitating them. So they have abundant energy. So the energy, we would have heard people talking about children have so much of energy, but we don't have. Even we do have the same kind of energy, but we don't use it appropriately. So as a child, if you start yoga for them, so you are sowing a seed in them. So it's a clear ground, clear field where you just sow and then it grows up into a beautiful fruit or a tree or whatever you would like to refer it as. But in adults, it is more cluttered. So first we have to start clearing and then start sowing a seed. So as a child, if you have sowed a seed of yoga, tell them that how to use your body, how to use the energy appropriately to build the strength and the ability, the stamina, and then slowly move on to the teens where they think just holding in asana is boring. Just sitting and chanting is boring because yoga has different perspectives: bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. So
No, this is Vijayendra, the teaching part of it. But
okay.
for example, let's say, kids and teens, you've been teaching for the past 6 months,
Right.
1 year,
Right.
let's say, because for kids, you need at least that minimum time to be able to really see something happening. So what is the first change or first impact that comes into them after, doing the practice?
For a child of age group of 7 to 8, they learn how to use their body.
Okay.
So as a teen, they will understand how their body is being converted as being more flexible. And then they start understanding how can I utilize my energy to be grounded. So they can start handling their anxiety issues, the depression issues more.
Right.
So they can start focusing better. So in their
So it will give them an outlet. Maybe going back to the mat will help them channelize their energy properly or maybe in the right way.
Correct.
Can we put it like that?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijayendra. To you, Chitra ma'am, discussing traditional and modern yoga. Yoga has evolved so much, right? And we all know, we have different types of yoga in the markets today. How do we honor tradition while embracing today's forms of yoga as well? So, going traditional and the modern way hand in hand, how do you balance it? And also, while respecting traditions.
Yeah. So as you rightly said, Deepali, there are different types of yoga available, and one can be left pretty confused, which yoga to embrace and what to do today. When we say traditional yoga, what do we actually mean, right? So very clearly, it means that the yoga practice that actually comes from a tradition or from a lineage. It could be a lineage of gurus, masters, teachers, sampradayas, as we say, and it is rooted in the ancient yoga texts. So when we say traditional yoga, the teachings are rooted in texts like the Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Hatha Yoga Pratipika. So these are all the ancient texts which have come about. And when the practice is rooted with those teachings, then we say it's traditional yoga. Modern yoga, on the other hand, is a quick fix solution for problems, right? Okay, so I have a headache, I need some asanas, I need some pranayama to get it resolved. So when we look at blending the two, what we need to understand is, if we approach our yoga practice not just with the physical aspect, but look a little beyond it, and look at all the other aspects, because as we see in the Yoga Sutras, we refer to it as Ashtanga Yoga, or 8 limbs of yoga, out of which asana is only one aspect. So what about the others? And even before asana come yamas and niyamas, which are pretty much the disciplinary tools and regulations that we need to follow in our day-to-day life. And when that is embraced, things like ahimsa, satya, like non-violence, and being truthful, being cleanliness, saucha, being content, santosha. These are all different things. There are 10 of them. And when one can embrace those qualities and make it a way of their life, then they can blend in their modern practice with, right? So to understand that it's just not the physical, but it's much more of a way of life itself, then it's a good mix, I would say, right? So,
Right. Absolutely. Chitra ma'am, you mentioned yamas and niyamas, right? So which yama or niyama feels especially important in the world today, and how can we live it? Maybe, just give one specific. I know it's an overall thing, like you said, there are 10, but maybe that one particular thing which we can follow at least, if not 10.
Right. Well, yeah, as you rightly said, it's hard to choose because, they're all equally important. I really cannot pinpoint and say, just follow the path of Satya, truth, and then give away something else, because they all go hand in hand. But I think swadhaya is one aspect which I definitely recommend everyone. So if you are a beginner, intermediate, advanced, wherever you are in your yoga practice, swadhyaya, which means swa adhyaya, right? So self-study. This is one aspect that one needs to constantly keep doing at every stage of their life, right? And what we call a self-introspection, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean just that you sit with your thoughts and you just figure out what's going on, but it also means using these different texts, scriptures, books to give you the knowledge and to give you the grounding, so you're able to discover the journey in a better way, right? So swadhyaya, I would highly recommend everybody to take time out to do self-study, to see where they are in their lives. What are the things that they need to change, incorporate, let go of if required, right, to move ahead.
Right. I couldn't agree more, honestly, Chitra ma'am. Very, very well explained. Thank you. To you, Shubha ma'am, talking of yoga and Ayurveda going together, right? So yoga and Ayurveda, like we all know, go hand in hand. So how do they really complement each other in your teachings, Shubha ma'am?
Just as Vijayendra spoke about yoga being relevant in the the different ashramas of life, like uh, the Balavasta, then the Brahmacharya, then the Grihastha, then the Vanaprastha. What is the one thread that you can see in all of these ashramas that one requires to either follow anything, be it yoga or any practice, and that is health, right? Ayurveda. So you can
Right.
weave that thread. It's the same tapestry, but you weave it in with good health. So Ayurveda and yoga both have the same lineage, or they follow the same philosophy. So they follow the Sankhya philosophy, and they're sisters sciences. Okay, one complements the other. If Ayurveda is concentrating, it's not concentrating only on medicines and health. That's what people think. But Ayurveda looks at as a human being as a whole, right? So it caters to the mind, the body, and the spirit or the soul. So all of this is incorporated, and the same thing happens with yoga. We're doing asana. Take the Pañcha Koshas, for example. You're integrating all the practices to enrich, nourish, and empower all the koshas, right? So this is what you can say is Ayurveda and yoga, both sciences
Going hand in hand. Right, right. And ma'am, going forward, how does Ayurveda define health? I think you've just given a little bit of a brief on that. But how will you differentiate Ayurveda from modern medicine?
So yeah, modern medicine, we do the WHO definition of health, which everybody knows is not having any. It is health at the level of the mind, the body, the social, and the emotional well-being. All of this is brought together now. Earlier, it was only the physical well-being as being looked after, right? Looked at. So slowly and slowly, they've introduced the mental, the emotional, and now they've also added the social and spiritual well-being. Whereas in Ayurveda, this health was defined then as, generally the definition that everybody, speaks of when they say Ayurveda and health, what Ayurveda describes health as is samadosha samagnescha samadhatu malatriya prasannatmendriya manaha swasya ityabhidiyate. That means if the dhatus, that is your health tissues, your agni, your doshas, which are the principal factors or principal energies, biochemical energies in you, if they're functioning properly, as well as your mind and your sense organs are working properly, that is when you call it health. But I would like to, at this point, bring in one beautiful definition that from Charaka Samhita, one of the texts of Ayurveda, he describes. He says, Nitya hitahara vihara sevi samikshayakari vishaya asaktaha data samaha satparaha shamavan aptopasevi cha bhavatya rogaha. That means, let me give you the explanation. A person who eats wholesome food regularly, who has a healthy, wholesome lifestyle, who deliberates in good action, samikshayakari, who's not overindulgent in the senses, who's generous, just, truthful, forgiving in nature, who is service-minded, who is helpful, is considered as healthy. So here,
Wow.
the yamas, niyamas are also incorporated into one being healthy. So you can't differentiate yamas and niyamas from your lifestyle.
Shubha ma'am, this explanation was so powerful, it gave me goosebumps. I'm being very, very honest about it. Very, very well, beautifully explained. Shubha ma'am, if you can just give us, out there, what do you mean by wholesome food? There are people who would like to know, maybe, to the listeners, what does wholesome food mean in general?
This is a trick question, let me say.
Yes.
Because when we say wholesome, today we have innumerable, you open the YouTube, you have innumerable diets which are being prescribed as wholesome, innumerable, So according to yoga and Ayurveda both, the yoga aspect says mitahara. Okay, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika prescribes mitahara for a practitioner of yoga, which is eating wholesome food as in whole grains, which is slightly sweet to taste, foods which are naturally grown, and which have their good potency. That is what we mean when we say with good prana shakti. That is what we mean. Fruits, vegetables, try and keep the vegetarian diet because it's more consistent or more energized. That's what we would say. And fruits, and we also include milk and ghee. That is what the yoga prescribes, and so does Ayurveda. Ayurveda also adds this factor of try and incorporate all the 6 tastes. There are 6 tastes that are described in Ayurveda: Kadu, Amla, Lavana, Tikshna, Ushna, and these are the Kashaya rasas, Tikta Kashaya rasas. They're all bitter, pungent, sweet, salty, all of these. But doesn't mean that you have to eat everything at one shot. It's just that you need to include a little bit of it in all your. It's like
Everything.
if you want to include a little bit of pungent, you take a little bit of pickle. Moderation is the key in the Ayurveda as well as yoga. That is how I would say. And also in the modern concept of diet is protein, carbohydrate. How much of protein do I need to take? How much of carbohydrate? I need to cut down on carbs. I need to cut down on fats completely. But Ayurveda and yoga both speak of a diet which is more guna oriented. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. These are the 3 gunas that are there in whole of nature. And everything that comes in nature comes with these 3 gunas. Everything. So incorporating your diet thoughtfully and trying to move from the tamasic to rajasic and more towards the sattvic would be very beneficial.
Shubha ma'am, this is like another whole podcast, which we will do with you very soon on diet and Ayurveda. So just cutting it down a little bit here. Going on to one earth, one family, collective consciousness, right? Which is our theme for this year. To all of you, this question is out for all of you. This theme asks us to think beyond personal wellness, right? So what does one earth, one family mean to each one of you? We can start with you, Shubha ma'am.
Okay. When we say one earth, I would connect with the elements of the earth, the Panchabhutas, right? Everything in the earth is made of the Panchabhutas, and so are we. So that if I can take care of myself, I also need to be able to take care of everyone around me. I am connected in this manner through the Panchabhutas. I am connected. There is an interconnectedness that is there, which through the modern lifestyle, we've forgotten about that, right? So that connection is one earth for me, going back to that interconnectedness with the nature, with the other human beings, okay? All that is one earth for me.
We also think about others before, can we say, thinking about ourselves or along with us?
Along with me. If you would say, if I would look at it this way, that if you want to light a lamp, you need to have that flame within you, right? It's that flame.
Yeah.
You can light that candle only if your flame is glowing. So that's how I would look at it. And therefore you can bring about illumination outside.
Change. Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shubha ma'am. Over to you, Chitra ma'am.
Yeah, thanks, Deepali. So one earth, one health, right? And when you say, and you also added one family, which is great. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The entire planet is like one family in this whole um, ecosystem, or you can say the macrocosm. So when we talk about one earth and one health, it primarily again begins first with the self, right? So like if you're in a peaceful and happy mood, you know how your family is going to feel that day. They're also you're going to exude that energy around you, and everybody's going to be the same. And the contrary also works, right? So if you're going to be grumpy and angry, that also starts working around. So we know that with yoga, with Ayurveda, we begin with first establishing inner harmony. And when we are established in inner harmony, we then exude it to our family members, and then to the community, then to the society. And then we establish the connection with nature itself, right? So when we are grounded in yamas and niyamas and we talk about non-violence, ahimsa, it's about the same thing, how we approach nature, like the environment, animal life, plant life, because we assume as human beings that, we are on top of the ladder, yet, only when something nature shows its other ways, like a tsunami or something, we realize how small we really are in this whole ecosystem. So The understanding is to be established with that inner harmony and then transfer that harmony to society, to community, and then to nature itself, which means we become more conscious of our actions, of what we engage in, how we take care of Mother Earth, right? And how we teach our children and other generations to be able to embrace this quality because it's so very important for its very sustenance. So if we want things to continue and life to exist, we have to become a very conscious planet today. And that is why it's very important that it begins with the individual self. So we are looking with this theme this year, primarily because we want to establish that awareness in all our yoga classes and all the interactions that we have, that we need to bring about this awareness and change, that we have to become a conscious planet, which means we have to open our eyes and really see what are the real issues, whether it's climate change, whether it's global warming, whatever it is, it's because of our actions. So to relook at those actions and to embrace and to employ techniques so we're able to live in a happier and better world.
Yes, thank you so much, Chitra ma'am. I think if each one of us takes responsibility just for themselves, I think we'll be able to do it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Vijayendra.
Thank you, Deepali. I think Shubha and Chitra has very well articulated as what one earth, one family, or one earth, one health mean. So I would just like to mention when we hear the word one earth, respect everything that's on the earth. So it's been there for everyone. Everyone's space is the earth. So just respect their space and then live in harmony with each other. And then when it comes to one health or one family, as Chitra rightly mentioned, it's Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. So you consider everyone as a family. And when you start noticing the benefits of practicing yoga and following the right diet, following the Ayurveda, so you start spreading across to everyone and start sharing it. So that becomes your dharma. So first is yourself, and then around your family, and then slowly start spreading it to the society. And then consider whoever deserves that tip and trick to be healthy, start sharing it with them. So that's how you bring that one health, one family, one earth into picture as per my perspective.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijayendra. Very well said. Very simply put, but very deep, something so deep. I think if it resonates with everybody and everybody can bring in a little bit of a change at their own level. Thank you. Okay, we'll do something fun just now. Okay, we'll close this with a rapid fire round. Okay, there's no hampers. By the way, this is not coffee with currants, but we do it anyway. Okay, so we start with you, Shubha ma'am. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's see. I hope so.
Okay, so your go-to Ayurvedic remedy. Just a one-liner, one word.
Following the Dinacharya,
Ghee or coconut oil?
ghee if I have an increase in pitta, coconut oil, ghee for vata and pitta, coconut oil for kapha.
Okay. All that you can't skip.
Pavanamuktasana,
Okay. Health in one word.
swasthya, being established in the self.
One Ayurveda myth that you might want to share.
Like Chitra said, yoga is for the old, Ayurveda is very slow, Ayurveda is very difficult to inculcate. So if you can inculcate Dinacharya, Ritacharya, then you are, and of course, follow the practices of yoga, you are something that it is something that you don't have to, that's the myth that everybody thinks that Ayurveda is only medicine and it's very bitter medicine. No, we look at prevention. So go to the root, that is the prevention.
All right. Thank you, Shubha ma'am. To you, Chitra ma'am. Sanskrit word, everyone. One Sanskrit word everybody should know.
That's a tough one. Namaste.
Yes, that's it.
I bow down to the divinity in you. Yeah, I think that everybody should. And should not just know, but I think they should practice. Yeah.
Practice it as well, of course. Morning or evening practice? So, Chitra ma'am. Morning.
Morning.
Okay. Yama or niyama that you live by? Swadhaya.
Swadhaya.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I got that one. Off the mat yoga moment this week.
Well, yeah, there are many of them, but I would say, just when, especially there are situations when I'm driving on the road and then, your patience is really pushed to the limits when people just cut across and then don't even put an indicator. But then you just want
Find yourself.
you remind yourself, hey, you better use some technique to what you
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Right. A small daily practice that creates big change.
Yeah, consistency of just showing up every day on the mat. Even if it's just for even if it's just for 5 minutes, I would say that you are committed and it brings you back to ground zero.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Consistency. Thank you. Thank you, Chitra man. Over to you, Vijayendra. Make it fire, make it rapid.
Yes.
Teaching kids or advanced students?
Children, kids,
Kids. Headstand or shavasana?
shavasana.
One yoga myth you'd bust.
Yoga is for all. So the myth we have is yoga is not suitable for the adults. Yoga is not suitable for the not flexible people. So
Absolutely. Favorite time of the day of practice?
early morning,
Early morning. If yoga were an animal,
elephant.
elephant. Why do you say that?
So that's so majestic, and then it's always up to itself. So it doesn't bother running. But when trigger, it doesn't leave anymore. So it's like you're to yourself.
Power.
Yes. So you know your limitations, and then you be to yourself.
Right. Thank you so much, Vijayendra. Thank you so much, all of you, for such an enriching conversation. It's been a pleasure to have, be in talk with you three great teachers from BYK. It's really been fantastic. To all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. May we continue the path of harmony, awareness, and unity. Happy International Day of Yoga, everybody. One earth, one family, one health. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste and thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deepali, just for the fun of it, we should ask Vijayendra to do the pose of the elephant. He does it beautifully, yeah? He does.
So
We can
should
put it
just
in the
have that.
background. Do it.
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
should.
Go for it, please.
Vijayendra said elephant. I was tempted to add, like the elephant god, which
Yes,
is Ganesh,
that's
right
there
behind,
too.
and the relevance of having a bigger ear.
Big ears.
Yours.
Okay,
Yeah.
Vijayendra.
Yes,
Vijayendra,
please.
just do the pose,
Sorry.
please.
Do it.
So here I go. Put my leg on it. Lift my body up. Hold it. Look front.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.